Hi guys, Glader here, and today I want to announce that I'm back. And not only am I back, I've been working on recreating from the ground up, completely rewriting the MMORPG project that I discontinued a while back. And this is done for very important technical reasons that I won't bore you with. I just want to say that MMORPG is back on the menu, and I've been hard at work for the past several months leading up to this point where I can demonstrate that things are mostly reached feature parity with the previous prototype. But not only feature parity, we've also got some new features that never worked before or were never implemented. So let me go ahead and show you those, because those are probably what's interesting to you. So something that the previous prototype didn't do was if you moused over units, you wouldn't get this bottom tooltip. Many MMOs, including World of Warcraft and to an extent Phantasy Star Online and RuneScape, when you mouse over, kind of in the top right, give you a little tooltip. They give you some information about the entity that you're moused over. In this case, we're mousing over a guy named Druid Bar Test, who's level 80 Tauren Druid. We got some debug information about his GUID down below the bottom. And this works, it also shows titles. This person is called Tesswar Jenkins. That's cool, even titles work. Pretty cool. We can also target people, but we could do that before. But now we see actual appropriate power bars. This is like your mana and rage. For example, if you target him, we see a properly colored mana bar with the mana that they have. But if we target this guy over here, this warrior, do something that gives us some rage, like blood rage, we'll see that we get some properly colored rage bars, and we get rage updates, which is pretty cool. We switch between these, nothing's broken. There's actually a bug in the previous prototype where switching targets had a lot of subtle bugs where you would still track information from the previous target. We've also got a way to see auras. So you can see the aura up there, but that's actually not new. We could do this before, but now it works much better internally. But not only can you see auras, but you can actually mouse over these, and you can see some information about the auras, their aura spell tooltip essentially, which is pretty cool, and this is something that didn't exist before. We also have if you notice, we have this cube over here. We also have a default model, which we didn't before. It was always just invisible. We switch stances, or sorry, forms as a druid. You'll actually see that the bars update. Let me go ahead and summon a boar. Get some rage. And if you switch back to, say, a tree, you can see the mana again. This was never possible before, but it is now possible. And I think that's pretty cool. And you can even see that the cube changes sizes just a little bit. So what else is new? Well, we now have significantly better spell tooltips. Practically feature complete, which I think is pretty impressive. You can see the true mana cost. This is truly what it would cost to cast this. You can see the name, the real rank, the description, the cast time, the mana cost. And if you go over to this Blood Fury, you can actually see it's a 2-minute cooldown, so you can actually see cooldowns on these tooltips now as well, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and cast this Demon Skin. You can see that the old aura bar is there from the previous prototype, and it has aura tooltips as well at work. But you also might have noticed something that happened on the UI bar down below, the action bar. When I cast something, I actually got a global cooldown, and it won't let you cast again until you actually do it. And of course our mana is updated when we cast, but one thing to note is mana regeneration is predicted client side, so that it doesn't have to constantly send power or mana updates to the client for bandwidth or network efficiency. So it doesn't really update yet. That's something I need to do. But yeah, we've got a global cooldown, and it actually does work how you'd expect. So for example, if I target this boar that we've just summoned, and I start casting a Shadow Bolt on it, I can then interrupt it. In client side, the global cooldown will be cancelled, and that's predicted. Well, actually, that's not predicted, but it works exactly like World of Warcraft, where it'll interrupt the global cooldown if a spell gets interrupted. What is predicted is the start of the global cooldown, which is pretty cool, and it makes for a responsive MMO, I think. And we also have much better cast bars. They function, they're colored, they even mention when spells interrupted, they fade out, which is pretty cool. And not just that, if we target our lovely druid over here, and we watch him cast a Wrath, you can actually see target unit frame cast bars as well, with correct spell icons, and it stated about them being interrupted, and of course being successful. And that guy got deleted. Let's go ahead and summon another one. And I'll go ahead and show you that, just like before, you could attack things, but now something is implemented that didn't work before that you just saw right there, is spell pushback. So pushback is not accurately reflected in the spells. It wasn't in the previous prototype. Not simple to do. We probably got some experience there. I think our experience bar went up. I wasn't paying attention. There's just so much stuff to go through. I just, what's next? Oh yes, auras that have less than 30 seconds duration. Well, it's not that impressive, but just like World of Warcraft, I've gotten this to flash. As it approaches 30 seconds duration, it'll start flashing and then slowly fade out, which I think is pretty cool. Gosh, what else is there to demonstrate? I can't remember. But, oh yes, I forgot to demonstrate the cooldown. So if we go ahead and cast it, and then we mouse over it, we can actually see the cooldown remaining. Unlike World of Warcraft, this tooltip, it won't be updated every frame, which is what WoW does, and I just think that's a complete waste of frame time. It's not really worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, it's just, there's so much stuff that works now that didn't before, and it works in such a better way. I'm really happy with it. Another thing that's solved is that I've gone through so many prototypes where it didn't work. Changing scenes, going to different maps. The previous prototype almost got it right. It almost got it right. And let me show you what I mean by that. So first, teleport to Orgrimmar, one of these characters, and I'll go ahead and summon myself to Orgrimmar, which there is no actual map, so all you will see are these NPCs, as cubes, and you know, floating weird people. That's all, because we don't have the map. But essentially, what happened before is I would disconnect from the server and then reconnect, and it would put me in that map. Now, we stay connected. Everything is cleaned up from the original scene, and we get into the new map. This is no small feat. This was incredibly complicated to achieve, and it took several prototypes to get to this point. I've been struggling with solving that. As silly as it sounds, I've been struggling with solving that since I believe the PSO project years ago. But never figured out. Not that I worked on it all day every day to try to solve it or anything, but wow, this is oh, I forgot. Another thing. You can see the little cooldown down there on Blood Fury. We can now see that, and it's going to slowly let us cast it once it's up, and now we can cast it, and then the cooldown starts. So we've got those on the action bar as well, and those don't get updated by the global cooldown. That reminds me, there is another thing. There's just so many things. This is the most feature-packed video of a prototype ever that we ever had. So let's go back to our test map. Alright, here we are. So another thing that I forgot to show you is go ahead and cast a bunch of these demon skins until we run out of mana. You can see now it's highlighted gray, and this is the spell cast result. It's not supposed to use the spell cast result to log, but you know, not everything's complete, but at least we get some feedback. We can't cast it, we don't have enough mana, and it won't highlight, for example, until you have enough mana. And we just got enough mana. Like I said, prediction for powers doesn't work properly, but I'm not going to bother you with showing you the specifics of how global cooldowns look with something that you don't have enough mana or power to cast, but I think it's cool. I think this is a very strong final version. Obviously, you can't play yet. You can't use it to play any games yet, but this final version is incredible. I can't believe everything has come together so perfectly from a technical sense, in that the progress of features has actually been really rapid. So yeah, that's it today, guys. I'm really glad to be back. I'm really glad to be working on this project again that I'm so passionate about, that I've been working towards for years. And now we're finally here on the final version. I promise this is the final version. There's nothing wrong with this version. Nothing needs to be rewritten. I'm very excited about that aspect, that there's no technical issues. So yeah, stay tuned for some this is a really long video, so I don't know if we'll have a new video anytime soon since I've shown you basically everything. But stay tuned for a new video in the near future. Thanks for watching, guys. Glad to be back. Glad to bring the MMO back.